his hammer. Whenever tales are told of the mighty thunder god Thor, his hammer, Mjolnir, is always mentioned. But many people do not know the tale of how Thor got his hammer. This is that story. Thor often shared his adventures with his half-brother Loki, the god of mischief. But because Loki was the way he was, and frequently caused unnecessary problems and spoiled things, the thunder god often preferred to go off on his own and get into trouble by himself, especially with giants, and then fight his way out. One day the two gods had arranged to depart for the land of the elves and see what adventures could be had there, but Loki was late. Thor, fed up with waiting for the crafty one, who was always late for everything, decided to teach Loki a lesson and left without him, crashing through the skies in his great chariot, drawn by his magical rams. Loki arrived just in time to see Thor departing over the horizon, and was both highly annoyed and offended that the thunder god had not waited for him. That night, Loki sat at home drinking mead and dark wines, brooding on what Thor had done. He went to bed half drunk, and tossed and turned all night, scheming and planning some way to be revenged on Thor that would not be too dangerous. In his heart of hearts he was truly scared of the red-haired thunder god, for he had seen him out-wrestle giants and knock down an oak tree with a single blow of his mighty fist. So, although he wanted revenge, he did not want to directly anger Thor, since that was a very dangerous thing to do. The night wore on, and the god of mischief could think of nothing suitable, and the lack of a definite plan made it impossible for him to close his eyes and go to sleep. A few hours before dawn, the weary god kicked off the bed covers and dressed, deciding to go for a walk to help him to think more clearly. As he wandered through the moonlit streets, beneath the twinkling of 1,000,000 stars, the warm night air caressing his face, he felt increasingly discontented and vindictive. Any other god would have been relaxed by the heady perfume of the night air, filled as it was with the scents of roses, jasmine, myrtle, and a dozen other subtle aromas. The beauty of Asgard beneath the moonlight should have taken away all of his cares and filled his heart with joy, but it only gave him a worse headache. He wandered aimlessly through the streets of Asgard, and without intending to go there, he eventually found himself outside Thor's palace. Such is often the way with evil. It finds a way to happen without apparently trying. Now Loki had not gone there on purpose, but seeing an open window in the apartments of the goddess Sif, Thor's wife, he decided to climb up the ivy which grew on a trellis outside the window and break into the thunder god's home. The evil one began to smile as he scaled the wall, feeling sure that a suitable act of vengeance would occur to him once he was inside. As he entered Thor and Sif's bedroom by the open window, he was rubbing his hands with glee, imagining the mischief he could do while Thor was away. Once inside the bedchamber, he crept around in the dark, silently as a cat, his greedy, malicious gaze running over everything the room contained, looking for something to steal or break, spoil or hide that would cause discord in Thor's life. As he scanned the room, his eyes stopped on the sleeping figure of the goddess Sif. The silver moonlight illuminated the great bed where she slept, and where it fell on her flowing mane of long blonde hair, all golden waves and ringlets, the image before Loki's eyes began to shimmer, and he had to clap his hands over his mouth and bend forwards to stop himself from laughing out loud. Intoxicated by the audacity of the idea that had occurred to him, and perhaps a little drunk with his own daring, the mead, the dark wine, and the moonlight, he went to the goddess's dressing table and picked up a pair of golden scissors that lay there. Then he approached the bed, quickly and quietly, and all the while exulting in the sheer badness of what he was doing. The evil one began lopping off Sif's beautiful golden hair. At first he had only intended to take a little, and perhaps plant the seeds of jealousy in the thunder god's mind, but he was carried away by the pleasure he got from letting his malice free, and forgetting all thought of any reprisals that might result from his actions, sheared the beautiful goddess until she was as bald as an egg. However, the god of mischief got too wrapped up in what he was doing, and before he knew it, the sky in the east was beginning to glow orange with the return of the sun. Sif began to mutter in her sleep and shift her position slightly. Stuffing the cut hair hurriedly into his shirt, Loki made a hasty exit, fearing that she was going to awake and catch him in the act. As Loki clambered out of the bedroom window and down the back side of the house, one of his sandals came off and dropped into a bush. Once on the ground, he made a rapid search for it, but fearing that he would be caught at the scene of the crime as day began to break, he was forced to leave without finding it. He hurried off, running through Thor's garden into the nearby woods, disappearing before the dreaming Sif awakened. Loki got back home, hid Sif's hair under his mattress, and locked his door, then climbed into bed, closed his eyes, and drifted off to sleep contentedly, chuckling at his cleverness. His slumber did not last long. When Sif awoke, her screams and wailing awoke half of Asgard, and just happened to coincide with Thor's return. The thunder god was absolutely furious to discover what had been done to his wife, who for her part was weeping inconsolably, completely unable to understand what had been done to her and why. Baldur's wife, Nanna, who came running to see what the cause of all the commotion was, spotted Loki's fallen sandal and picked it up on the way into the house. When Thor saw it, he recognized it as Loki's at once, because it had been stitched with gold and silver threads, unlike the plain leather of the typical Asgardian sandals, and he almost exploded with rage. "This time it's gone too far, my Odin. I will snap him in two. I'll break his arms and legs. I'll tear him limb from limb. I'll crush every bone in his body." But Sif was even angrier than Thor and shouted at her husband, "A lot of good that will do, you dunderhead. It won't get me my hair back, will it? Look at me. I look like one of the bald vultures of Niflheim, and it's all your fault. You Asgardian oaf, do something." The startled Thor had never seen Sif so angry, and he stormed out of his house. The thunder began to roll in the sky over Asgard, and the forks of jagged lightning flashed angrily as their masters struggled to control his rage. Thor kicked down the door of Loki's house and burst into the bedroom, dragging the bleary-eyed and instantly terrified mischief-maker out of bed. Wasting no time, he slammed him into a wall, shaking him like a terrier does a rat, roaring, "You misbegotten serpent, spawn, eel, slime, curd, dog! What have you done with my wife's hair? I'm going to tear you into little pieces and feed you to the crows!"